My name is Florence Iseko, and I'll be presenting to you the action track for advancing equitable livelihoods and value distribution. So the goal of this action track is really to ensure that the food systems leave no one behind. And how are we doing this? By addressing inequality, being in the form of economic opportunities, in the form of gender or access, since inequality is a major root cause of poverty. Overall, the objectives of this action track is to, one, ensure that inclusivity, diversity, gender responsivity are working together for the advancement of equitable livelihoods and to ensure that the food systems are well developed and socialized. Secondly, is to attract measurable commitment from stakeholders including the governments, the public and the private sectors, community-based entities, and youth like you and myself. And also to spark a global movement, responsiveness, and to champion supports that will challenge inequality in food systems. Now, what is the problem? Why are we having to focus on this theme? Inequality and power imbalances constrain the ability of our food systems to deliver poverty reduction and sustainable and equitable livelihoods. And how is IFAD being the lead of this action track? How are we going about it? One, we're identifying and defining what are the barriers to equitable access to livelihoods. We're looking at infrastructural gaps, systemic marginalization, limited skills and knowledge. We're also looking at environmental impacts. As you know, environmental pressure accounts for 80% of land conversion and biodiversity losses, 80% of contamination of freshwater and coastal ecosystems, 80% of freshwater consumption, 20 to 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So the impact of climate change, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss on equitable livelihoods is significant. We're also looking at social and economic inequalities, for instance, access to employment opportunities. And lastly, the implications of COVID-19 and its impact on women, on youth, and marginal groups from a food security and nutrition perspective. As IFAD, we have a mandate to target the youth, and this is evident in all our programs. We understand that youth face significant socially constructed and structural barriers. And as such, we are targeting discriminatory social norms and practices that disadvantage youth, particularly in agriculture, in the forms of ethnicity, gender, age, and physical ability. We are working closely with stakeholders across the agricultural industry to promote youth involvement in agriculture and ensure that agriculture is attractive and desirous to us all. Now, through this action track to advance equitable livelihood and promote value distribution, what are the achievements that we are working towards? What will these achievements look like as well? To anchor food systems transformation in small and medium scale production, family farmers, women, youth, workers across the food value chains. We're also addressing specific barriers to inclusive, equitable livelihood development. We're also adopting coherent and coordinated multi-sectoral approach at the national and territorial levels. Also, the inclusion of proper nature-based solutions and climate change and environment policies to improve the capacity of the poor to better manage environmental risks. We're also focusing our effort to ensure that value chains are inclusive through the generation of decent employment and improving resilience through social protection. And lastly, we're addressing the legal, the institutional, and the market constraints to realizing equity within our food systems. Now, all these are core to our mandates and to the programs that we are currently implementing and how we design future programs. Thank you very much.